Hi guys, so welcome back to my second Bachelor update. Really excited about this one. He's gone on 3 dates. So I am going to get into detail as to what happened on each date. So once again, if you have not had the chance to watch it, you might want to pause the video right now. Okay, so first date. He invites Elise, Nicole, Hanna Chi, Brie, Anyanka, Catherine, Tracy, and Demi. So these are 8 ladies, and he takes them to like a comedy bar and tell the girls you're each going to make up your own story of your first. And you're going to come back a little later tonight and present it. When they come back, Elise is first. She has a really kind of flirty tone going, and she's talking about how she is a little over 30. She learned a lot in her 20s, and she is going to teach him a few things. So hers was really good and classy, like it wasn't ridiculous, so I really liked hers. Up next was Nicole. Now they really edited hers, and all you really heard her talk about was how she used to date a lot of like Hispanics, and this was the first time she tried white bread. The next person was Hanna Chi, and I continue to love this girl. So her story was about how she had a rough time as a teenager, apparently, and didn't get asked out on dates, but she was excited that she got the very first impression rose. So again, really sweet. I liked hers. Brie was... Hers was super edited too. All you really heard her say was that this is the story of the first time I was comfortable in my own skin. So it might have been a really good story, but for whatever reason, they did not let us hear it. Anyanka, I feel like we just got the tail end, and basically what she was saying was, that's the story of the time I saved someone from drowning in bitches. Okay. And then Catherine, who, if you remember from last week or saw my vlog from last week, Anyanka was the one who had the confrontation with her about you really should stop stealing him once he'd done it twice, like, oh my gosh. So basically, Catherine makes a joke of it. So I actually am liking her a bit more this week. She actually made a joke of it, stood up and was like, so my first was the last time someone told me that I was making people drown in bitches. Well, I can swim, and like smashed the microphone away. So I liked hers. It was funny. So then Tracy gets up and she tells the story of how she competed once with a sorority sister to like get a virgin first. In the end, she got him. He was no longer a virgin. But she was the best he'd ever had. Okay. And then finally we get to Demi. So Demi... she tells the story of how she got the first date rose. She basically just says that and like throws the microphone aside, walks off the stage, and like starts making out with him in his seat. So of course the girls are livid. They're like, that's against the rules or whatever. They are not happy that she did that. So then the next thing, obviously that kind of wraps up. And they're at the little wine reception that they always do after these big dates. And Demi again, like, grabs him before anyone has the chance, takes him aside, and he does tell her, like, he likes her forwardness. So, fine. She proceeds to go into the room where the rest of the ladies are waiting, pick up the rose, and be like, well, this is mine, girls. Well, most of the girls just kind of chuckled, like, whatever. It hasn't been handed to you. We're going to wait and see. But Tracy, she was having none of that. So similar to last week, she pulls Demi aside and basically starts a tiff with her because she basically told her, I thought that was very disrespectful that you touched the rose. Colton has to give that to us. You can't touch that yet. So Demi's basically like laughing at her in her face. Like she's like, So anyway, that does not go well. Tracy can tell. And everyone probably except the viewers, was really surprised that Elise takes home the rose. I loved that. When he had to sit down with Elise, he told her, like, he was so happy that she was so confident. He really loved her vibe. So I'm really happy for that. The other thing that stood out with me about this date was Hanna Chi. So when he sat down with her, his reaction after talking to her was, oh, you make me feel like home. Okay, like, I'm going to get into who I'm predicting at the end of the video, but I couldn't make it more obvious that he's, like, really into her. So that was the first date. So the second date is a one-on-one. This goes to the very lucky Hanna B. And I don't think he knew, but it was her birthday to boot. So she's super excited. And they're going more rustic area. And they go for a horseback ride. And they horseback ride to this lovely open place where there's a hot tub. So the entire drive there and the whole time prior to getting in the hot tub, even while they're in the hot tub, it's just awkward. She's obviously very nervous, and he's having trouble, like, figuring out how to make her feel a bit more comfortable. To the point where, like, he asks her to, like, make a toast, and she, like, has a difficult time doing that. So he's, like, telling the audience privately he's not enjoying himself, and if things don't change in the latter part of the night, that he's going to probably send her home. And then it kind of, like, interrupts the date and starts showing them back at the house. And we hear Kaylin talking about how nobody in the house knows this yet, but she actually knows Hanna B, who's out on this date. Apparently, they were both contestants in Miss America. Apparently, they did get along at a certain point, because as she's saying this, they're showing pictures of them, like, hugging and smiling. But throughout the time, they, like, had a falling out of some sort, and they don't get along anymore. So she was a little, like, upset that, like, her nemesis in the house got the first big date, and just kind of talking to other girls at the house about how she knew her. I'm wondering if this is foreshadowing to, like, a really big fight that's going to happen some point in the season. For the latter part of Hanna G's date, they go for dinner, and again, he's saying, like, I'm nervous. If she doesn't open up, I'm not going to feel comfortable giving her the rose. And with this date, part of the date, I guess, while there were a few minutes at the beginning where it was kind of, like, awkward, shortly into the conversation, she asks him kind of point blank, like, so why are you a virgin? And at first I was like, she's, like, putting another nail in her coffin, because I think he's going to be annoyed. But to my surprise, he actually answered in a really sweet way. So this helped her open up to talk about how she did choose to have sex before she was married, and how that left her feeling very guilty because she had, committed as a teenager probably to waiting until she was married. So she had now done it with this guy and didn't end up marrying him. So that really seemed to, like, unravel a conversation that went much better. He does end up giving her the rose, and then it just shows them, like, watching fireworks. Day number 3. So this is a 12-on-1. So he invites Alex, Erica, Katie, Kaylin, Sydney, Taisha, Nina, Kirpa, Caitlin, Courtney, Cassie, and Heather. They go to this, like, camp, and when they first get there, he's like, we're going to have a cookout, we're going to play some games, and just have some fun. And then all of a sudden, Chris Harrison shows up and basically tells them they're going to compete in 3 different challenges. And whichever team wins the most challenges will get to stay here the night. And the other half are going to go home. So they do 3 things. They do relay, canoeing, and tug of war. So basically, the red wins the relays, the yellow wins the canoe, but the red brings it home with the win in the tug of war. So the red team gets to stay for the night. Second part of the camp out date where they're camping, Heather stays the night. So they show her talking in the little cabin to the other girls about how she's nervous to tell him that she's never kissed a boy, and she doesn't think that it will bode well for her, and she's worried that it might make him think that she's not ready or that that's the only thing that he'll think of, and so she's not sure. Of course, ultimately, she gets her 10 minutes with him, and she tells him, and he has a good reaction to it, and ultimately helps her feel good about it, and that, it's a good thing. And ultimately, in the end, a little while later, she gets the rose from this date. Okay, so now you're at the rose ceremony. The first thing you see is Sydney is calmly talking with him, and all of a sudden, Anyanka comes through a door that's right behind them, blowing an air horn, super loud, and basically says something to the effect of, I need to show you away. I'm feeling horny. Or I'm a little horny. Oh, Lord. So anyway, that really puts Sydney off, and some of the other girls are not really impressed. And then that no more than happens and calms down, that he is then seen with Tracy. And they no more than show him sit down with Tracy, that they skip to Demi up in her room, and it gives the impression she's changing because she's putting on a robe, and you kind of see her from behind, walking down by everybody in the robe. She walks up in a robe, and her dress was short, so it looked like all she was wearing was the robe, and is like, "Can I steal you?" So, of course, Tracy is very upset and pissed that she would do that, and not very good at hiding it at this point. So as soon as Demi comes down from her 5 minutes upstairs in her fantasy closet with Colton, all the girls are like, "Do you understand what you just did?" and how upset Tracy is. And she basically just blows it off. She's like, "I didn't care." And she goes up and tries to talk with Tracy, but it's completely, she's not listening. So I really think that is going to be a huge fight this season. And mark my words, they will likely be the dreaded 2-on-1 date. I'm calling it now, Tracy and Demi. So then, after all of that, he does finally pick his ladies. He got rid of Alex B and Erica. They both got dates, but they were basically not shown on them. He obviously didn't stand out on their date. But he also got rid of Angelique and Annie. These ladies didn't even have a date this week, and he got rid of them. I think that's never been done before in Bachelor or Bachelorette. Yes, the first couple of episodes, there's often a person or two who doesn't get a date. I've never seen any of them send that person home. So why didn't he just send them home the week before? I didn't like that. I felt that was unfair to both of them. And their goodbye messages were really sad. They were like, "I don't think he even got a chance to know me." And that was my biggest fear, to come here and he wouldn't care. So that ended that episode. Now, on to predictions. For tonight, I'm just going to stick to winner. And I'm going to be quick about it. I think it's going to be Hanna Chi. I am loving her. I see a real connection with them. Even Jimmy Kimmel and his Rose Stradamus has her as number 2. I think he's wrong. I really do like her, and I hope she's going to win. I will definitely be back for this next week. So, bye for now.